doing? My friends all show up because I said, I'm not going to believe it, they gave me an award. They said, we're showing up because we don't believe it. What an honor. My friends they're probably just keep saying, man, what's he going to say? We can't control him. He has no idea what he's going to say. And so when he gets up in front of a microphone, he usually gets going and he swears and he does stuff he's not supposed to do. So I don't know what I'm going to do. So hang on to your hat. But as I try to put this thing into perspective and think about what an honor this is, people don't know the story, but my friend Doug Sayer called me up and he said, man, I got a problem. I said, man, we all have problems. He said, no, I got a really bad problem. And I think I was in some place like Africa, I don't remember where it was. It was someplace out of country. He said, I got to talk to you. Man, nice building, really lousy microphone. So he tells me that I got this problem, and I said, well, okay, well, tell me what it is. I love Doug Sayer, and I call him one of my true friends. And so he said, man, I got to talk to you. And I said, okay, let's talk. And he said, no, I got to see you in person. When are you going to be back in town? I said, 2 weeks in this day. He said, okay, I'll be up there. I said, okay, well, give me a call. Let me know. I'll come and pick you up. You stay at your house. We drink wine together, and we stay up. We get really smart until about 2 o'clock in the morning. The next morning, we're really stupid, right? Done this a couple of times. And so I don't hear nothing from him. But it's not uncommon for Doug not to show up or show up and not to call. So I'm in the middle of some big deal at work, and they say, hey, Doug's here. I said, Doug who? Doug Sayer's here. He says, here at the office? He said, yeah. He said he had a appointment with you. I said, well, you tell that dumb donkey why didn't he call me? I was going to pick him up, and I didn't know he was coming, but tell him I'll be there shortly. So he's in a hurry. He flew all the way up from Pocatello, and now he's in a hurry, and I got to hurry. I'll be right there. So I don't know what's going on. So I show up, and what's up, Doug? And he said, Ron, I got to talk to you. And he acts like he's really depressed, and so we said, well, let's talk in the car. I said, well, I got an office. He says, no, let's talk in the car. And I gotta go to K-Tech, and K-Tech, we'll talk about a little bit of that. It's our professional technical high school that a bunch of my friends here in this room started. And so we said, I gotta go to K-Tech and drop this stuff off. We can talk on the way. So we start going. I said, man, just tell me what's going on. I said, I hate the suspense. What's going on? And he goes, Ron, it's really bad. I know his lovely wife, so there's no possibility that he's stupid. He's not that stupid that he would leave her. So I thought, well, maybe there's something going on here. So I said, man, is everything okay between you and John? She said, yeah, no, we're cool, Ron. I said, did you kill somebody? I was serious, when somebody's pouring their heart out, I thought he was going to cry all the time. So I start driving. I said, man, you got to help me here. I'm dying. So we get upward from Post Falls to where this is. It's the middle of nowhere. And so as I'm driving, I just said, man, my friend's hurting right now. I got to do something. So I pull off the side of the road. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, man, I don't know what's going on here, but man, I got to help you. Well, we'll just pray together, right? He says to me, he said, Ron, we're in a hurry. I said, no, we're okay. And so we stop, and Doug kindly puts his head down and pray, hey, God help us in this, and blah, blah, blah. Get going, we get back on. He said, you can drive a little faster if we get going. I'm like, whoa, okay. Don't tell God how fast to drive, right? So I show up at K-Tech, and I walk in, and he's telling me he did something really stupid with the governor, and the governor's mad at him, and he starts telling me this long story, and I'm thinking, man, you don't talk very well. So I'm trying to figure out what it is. Well, we show up at K-Tech, I said, Doug, we got to go drop this paper. So I walk in, and I'm in such a hurry trying to figure out what this idiot is telling me. I don't see that this whole thing's full with kids and people and all that type of stuff. And as I walk in, as I see a couple people, hey, what's up, Bill? What's up, Jim? And all of a sudden, I see my kids. And this has happened to me once before. Man, I hate getting duped, right? And then they give me this award. I didn't understand what it was and got emotional. Where's Kelly? Kelly, where's Big Kelly? Kelly, oh, don't hide. He said, man, I'm attention deficit, so I go wherever this thing goes. So, Kelly, I cried. I'll tell you the story later, but just remember that guy right there doesn't like people that cry. He doesn't care about puppies either. So that's how I found out about this, and then you start trying to get, and now I got to come down here and teach a course, teach some classes, and I'm thinking, God help them. So I'll get prepared for this, and then all of a sudden you just kind of through the emotion, you start to realize, wow, this is a pretty big deal. And then a friend of mine calls me and says, man, that's a big deal. Dwayne Hagedon, one of the richest guys in town, and a good friend of mine. He said, Ron, it's a big deal. You got to take this real serious. And I said, well, who says I'm not taking it serious? And then we had a long talk, and so I don't even know where to begin, but to say this is a pretty humbling experience for somebody that started out with some pretty humble beginnings, had no expectations of anything. But I think I should start up by thanking the Idaho State University. What an incredible institution. I got a chance to walk the walls, talk to the students. I want to call them kids because I don't care, the oldest kid in the class is the same age as my kid, so call them all kids, right? Got a chance to meet President Velas. I call him Art now. I had lunch with Art and ate 2 of his chocolate chip cookies. And the funny part was they said, man, I hope you get to meet Art's wife, Laura, because she's incredible. After spending 2 hours with Art and 10 minutes with Laura, you guys are the smartest guys I've ever seen. It only took me that long to figure it out. You guys already knew that. So I want to thank Josh and Taylor. Taylor is an incredible leader and stands with all the self-confidence that comes with being a leader. And Josh is the guy that's got it. And I told Josh I was going to say swear words and I was going to do all this stuff. And every time I do that, I say, Josh goes, oh God, this is not going to be good for me. And then I told up there, so when you get up on the microphone, I ask really cocky, and that these people are here for you. And he goes, okay. And so that's how this thing's all started. I spent the last 2 days teaching with all of these there, and every time I walk in the classroom, we take over, and I brought part of our team down here, and we kind of divided and conquered so we could destroy more than one class at a time. It was incredible. One of the teachers says, wow, we're statistics, and we do this and this, and we go do so, and we're doing this, and we explain this to me. I says, we don't do that there. There's only 3 ways to make money in this business. It's either increase your sales, increase your margin, or reduce your costs. Everybody that can do that, we'll pass them, give them an A, and we'll move on, and we'll start with the next class. And I remember the statistic teachers going, oh man, we got them for an hour? The next class we went to, they said, we got left brain, right brain, and blah, blah, blah. And they were trying to explain to me I'm a right brain person, which means and I told them, man, I got attention deficit. It goes back and forth all the time, right? So I try to work somewhere in between the middle brain that I'm dealing with right now, and I can't deal with that. And so I never taught a class before, so I'm giving them a teach about middle brain psychology and how this all works, and I start telling stories, and I'm looking at the teacher, and by the end of it, she gets up and hugs me and says, that was awesome, Mom. Do this anytime I want. Man, I can't go any farther than not thank my friends. I don't know if anybody ever knows where Coeur d'Alene and Post Falls, Idaho, but it's a long ways. And it's a longer ways by flying than it is driving. And how does that happen? I flunked geography, so I just said, man, how do you get there? And they said, well, you can drive there. It takes you 7 hours if you drive fast, so that's 14 days to fly. And I said, okay. But then I look around the room and I see these groups of my goofy friends that don't have anything else to do but to come down here to prove. Look at this pen.
Okay.
Alpha Kappa Psi. Eat that, Mr. Powers. You might have a jet, but you ain't no Alpha Kappa Psi. And you know what? I'll tell you everything about this experience, but I guarantee you, I'm not showing you the handshake. I practiced it last night. Good at it. And of course, my family. The best thing ever I did in my life was to find a woman that made me look like a better person. And that was a full-time job for her. My wife of 40 years, Pam. For those that don't know her, you would have given her a standing ovation if you really knew what she has to do, put up with. So, and then I have two of my sons here tonight, my son Matt and my son Mark, and my other kids who weren't able to come, but they sent representation. Where's my daughter-in-law? Where is she? Here?
Baby.
Yeah. Hey, Maxwell. Ooga, ooga. Yeah, there he is. You know what? Tom, he had so much respect for the honor I got, he wore a tie. What's your problem? Tom. Someday you win this, I'll shut up when you talk. So that's just my son Mark, his lovely wife Chelsea, and their first child. And my daughter's a teacher. Ron hates education, so what's he doing with a daughter that's a teacher? But she's my son-in-law, my favorite son-in-law. I only have one, but he would be my favorite if I had two. Because the last one I had really was not good. So, you know what? I just keep telling him, you can have anything I got, just don't put me through what that last guy put me through. Man, I got 16 pages. I'm only down to one paragraph. So this is, you know about that? Josh, when he says something about a short deal, no. I kind of thought about, well, somebody gets up here and speaks and blah, 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 and you want to kind of know a little bit about them. So I'm thinking, man, now that I'm businessman of the year, I'm going to write me a book. Oh, come on, you professors. You guys all write books and then charge us $400. So my book is going to be called The Story of Expectations. We all know expectations is what you consider to be the most likely thing to happen, right? It's the future. We all predict the future. That's what we're expected of. Who would have ever thought that this is where I'd be standing right now? So expectations are always the thing. So as I look at my expectation in my book, as man, chapter 1 started at year 1. I was born 60 years ago. 19 years later, chapter 19, we're skipping so we don't take 4 hours, we'll get it down to 3. I met the most incredible woman and married her. Went to work in a machine shop in the same year, and later on we had 5 incredible children in 7 years. Man, that was stupid. Because all I remember is for like 9 years we changed diapers, and I'm thinking, man, I thought when are they going to be potty trained? Well, we got this one out, Ron, the next one's on. I said, oh, man, why don't we have them all at one time? And then she explained to me what causes it, and I said, okay, don't worry about it, we'll fix that later. I skipped to chapter 37, I started my own business. In chapter 49, I bought this company that I'm at today, and I moved to Idaho. And chapter 60 is this one, right? How's that going to be for a book? I'll put some other stuff in there and some pictures and stuff. I like pictures, right? And it brings me to this award. Interesting is when you win a title and you're talking in front of a business class, people are real curious. A successful guy, got lots of money. Let's ask him some questions. So Josh, you met Josh, all the confidence in the world, Josh. He said, Ron, what's the biggest secret of your success? Oh yeah, by the way, keep it simple here, you talk long. 2 words. And he looked at me like, what are they? How do you make right decisions, he asks. One word. What would that be? Experience. How do you get experience? Remember, he's in the Alpha, Kappa, Psi, no experience yet. So I said, 2 words. So now he's got his line, which is, what are they? Wrong decisions. and as I thought about our conversation, and I got it down to 5 words, I just taught advanced course of business development. It's incredible. Dr. Ron. And then I got thinking about my friends that are here today that got money and are deemed successful, and I look out into the cheap seats there, the chairman of the board of Northwest Specialty Hospitals, and then I look out here to here and I see all these different people that got money and they got all that type of stuff, and then I get thinking about all the stories that I remember about these friends of mine that are successful. When they tell me their story, I want to hear the shortcut. I want to hear about what they did right. And they always start talking about the problems they have. And I have some very, very close friends here as I look at Greg Gervais, a very successful contractor. And I've been through some of his tough times with him because not only is he one of my closest friends, but he's my next door neighbor. So when I'm having a downtime, we drink at his house, and it's the other way around, we drink at my house. But as I reflected on what this is all about is that there isn't a businessman I know that does not reflect on the tough decisions, the tough times, the things that have cost them, that have made them, built the character that make the difference of the man. And I always just worry about those that have had the silver spoon and never had the experience and to go instantly from education to success. And so as I went around to these classrooms there, man, it's the real story, the real person that you really got to get to know and understand that we all learn from the wrong choices and the mistakes that we made, and it's how we deal with those, the character of the man, and what we do with those. Today I went to a business class, and I don't even remember, but somebody said, Ron, you told a story, and you need to share this with this business class so they won't be here. And I said, well, why won't they be there, man? Well, they don't have the money and blah, blah. I said, okay, I'm going to open my heart and tell them exactly what I think, but I says, I'm glad Kelly's not here because I'm probably going to get emotional because I can't do this. I've done this probably 20-time Boss of the Year award and Citizen of the Year award and a couple times. And when it gets down to it, they say, man, tell us your story. So I can tell you about 5 or 6 huge successes and money. But one of the most tragic thing in my life was when I invested all my wife's money because she has 51% and I just managed it for her. And I put all our money into a business and we weren't doing so well. Economy takes a downturn, we're in trouble, and my banker stood right behind me to say, hey, you didn't make money last year, Ron. I said, yeah, tough year, but we've been banking together for quite a while, so hope everything's okay. And they said, well, we're moving you to special credits. This guy, I love the old guy with the gray hair because he laughs because he's heard that terminology. You didn't feel so special when they say special credits, did they, right? I thought maybe I was part of the elite club that the first time you lose money, they move you to a special department so they can go in and see how you're going to handle your way out of that. Well, their answer to that is they're going to call my note for $1.5 million after I just put $3 million into a business and I hocked everything I had and sold some property and all that type of stuff, and I'm looking at it and going, uh-oh. And so I said to this girl that they finally turned me over to and I always tease my wife. I said, what was her name? And she go,
yeah.
What was her name? I think in a cat fight, my wife could take her. I never met her. And this Diane Bocci says, you know, Ron, you got 90 days of special credit department, Diane Bocci, and you got 90 days and we're going to call this note for $1.5 million and blah, blah, blah. And I remember I didn't have much of a sense of humor at this point. I'm trying to think of something really funny to say because I thought maybe that if I got on our good side, she'd give me some more time. And she says, I said, man, I don't got it. I just put all my money in this business and bought this and did this and we put new software systems and we're going and man, we're building the structure and we're ready for this. And I could tell she wasn't caring. And I said, well, you know, man, I got a kid. Still going to school in his house that he grew up in. And I can't pull him out of the house, sell the house. And she said, I said, where am I get the money? And she says, you got this much equity, you know, and we want you to sell your house. So I remember getting off the phone and said, my wife is a man. I didn't know we were in this kind of trouble that somebody looks at me and says, we're not concerned we're going to make it. So I went back over a period of time and sold my house. My son's in the real estate market. $250,000 write down to liquidate isn't good management, but that's what I had to do. Sold some piece of real estate we had, and now, I think we're okay now. 9/11 happens, we're now in the deterioration of this, and a company I was doing some business with stuck me for some, and now I'm going, holy smokes. I figured out how to pay my bills. You know special credits, it's a Peter to pay Paul. So I used my suppliers, didn't pay them on time, and used that to kind of pay to keep all this thing going, and now it's all coming to a head. And so I just thought, man, I'm worried. Not sure we're going to make this. So I remember calling my top 10 suppliers and said, hey guys, we're having some troubles here. You're having troubles because at this point I have nothing to give you, so we need to work through this. And I says, the last asset that I have, the last bit of money I own, is in my wife's 401k, and we're going to go get it. But I got to have an assurance from you if I do that you're not going to force me into bankruptcy. One by one, these people said to me, Ron, we're in. We'll ride with you. So when I get all done with that, I think, okay, we better come up with some game plan pretty quick. So I went to, and I wrote every one of my key people a letter of recommendation and said, I need to see you guys. Show up at the conference room, I said, best team I've ever had. You guys didn't screw up, but I have, and we're at a point where I'm not sure if this thing's gonna make it. I'm not giving up, but I can't expect you, this isn't your company, to ride this thing out. And I says, I'd like to go and talk to your wives, take this letter of recommendation, and if you choose not to do, no hard feelings, you guys go do what you gotta do, but I can't, in good faith, not tell you the situation we're in. I says, I'd like to meet with you on Friday afternoon, and I need to know because Saturday my wife and I are loading up, at this time sold my brand new STS Cadillac and took it, traded it in. I'm driving a 2-year-old Durango, we're gonna go see some customers. I don't know how to get out of this, right? So, Thursday, one of the guys said, Ron, we need to meet with you. This is a guy that's got all the confidence in the world that isn't afraid of anything. I called my wife and I says, I think, baby, it's over. And she said, why are you saying that? I said, because the meeting's Friday, they called it there. I think they want me to, let's get on with the process. And so I went in the meeting and I said, what's up, guys? And the spokesman said, we're not sure what to do, but we think you know what to do. We don't even know where to begin, except for to say we're behind you. We're not leaving you. We're not going to leave you during these tough times. And the only thing that we can think of doing is we're all taking a 15% pay cut today. And the guy across the table from me, one of the most remarkable men in the world that works 7 days a week for me, has a handicapped child that he cares for the last 4 hours of the day. And I said, man, go home, Zach. And he says, we can't do it. So I looked at him and said, I can't do it. I can't do it to you, Zach. I don't pay you what you're worth. And this 6'4" gorilla leaned over the table and says, don't you dare take this opportunity away from me to show you that I love you and I trust you. I sat back down. I said, okay, we fight. My wife and I went on the road. 10 weeks later, we had enough business to fill our factory. And from that day on, we've never lost a penny since. Today, I don't owe my bank anything, except for some inventory that we have on special. Incredible turnaround. So I win some goofy award, not as goofy as this one, but a goofy award. Right? So I'm on some radio interview, and he said, what's the worst thing that ever happened to you? So you kind of go through, ooh, when my kids got really sick, and you go through and you get to this one here, and the guy says, in your business world, what's one of the worst things? I said, well, probably the time that I thought it was over. He said, man, Ron, if you could change that, would you change that? I said, you gotta be kidding me. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't tell my employees I love them. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't remember how close that was, and without them, I wouldn't be here today. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't realize that this isn't world peace. I was so caught up in making money and making sure we're doing this that I think I didn't have my arms around what was the most important thing. And about that time in my life, after that tragedy, one of my friends died. But before he died, his son died. And I went through the death of his son with him, and then 6 months later he died. And I remember that was a time on my side I thought, what the heck is going on in this world? And then as I look back, I think about all the things that are the most important things in life. We live in the greatest country of the world. Anybody that tells you different is wrong. There's no other country in the world that has what we have. As I had dinner with these 300, the bill was 300, but these 30 kids, and I thought, man, this future's in good hands. You said it right, Art. These are the kids of our future. And when I heard what they were doing, and that we're in a country where you could or you can be the President of the United States. No other country lets you do that. If your parents are poor in this country, you can be rich and wealthy. And I can show you people in this room that that's the truth. You can be happy in this country even if you don't have financial success. It's a tough thing to learn in this country, right? We all compare our balance sheets or whatever. But man, took Josh aside before this. I said, man, this isn't world peace. This is stupid stuff. The most important thing is your family, your sanity. The most important things in life. It's not the money. So if money's what's driving it, and I said to one of your, imagine this, right? One of your business guys, they said, man, if it's all about money, let's just all get 45s and stick up 7-Elevens. We do work for 2 hours. We're done for the day. We got lots of money. The kids looked at me like I was there, but the teacher looked pretty scared, like, I'm not sure about this guy. I am the great American success story. No formal education. But I look around, most of my friends that are here, with the exception of a handful of them, they don't have that either. I have no parental support. My mom didn't know any better because she cared for my retarded sister. My dad was an alcoholic, and he had a business, and between the two of those, man, I was a loose cannon, and I learned life the hard way, which is, man, I didn't have it. So when I go sit in these classrooms today and I look how fortunate these kids are, but I look at how smart these kids are, I'm thinking, man, Could you do better if you would have had that opportunity? Art, I don't think so, buddy. Because it's those experiences, it's those failures, and living in the greatest country in the world, it doesn't matter when you decide. We're all one step away from the most successful decision we'll make in our life. Or a lot of us are one step away from having the biggest failure in our life. But you control this step, which is an incredible thing to think about in this country. Our Creator, you hear me talk about blessings, you hear me talk about that, is our Creator has high expectations for each one of us. He says, "For I know the plans I have for you. They are plans of good and not disaster, to give you future and hope." Man, think about that. He wants us to be blessed. He wants us to be happy. And that sometimes bad things happen to good people, and I think that's the toughest thing I deal with is when I look at it. But man, what a blessing it was for me. If you don't know who Mark Rippon is, I spent last Saturday night with Mark Rippon with my friend Tom and Patricia. And gets to go to the Super Bowl. Wins the Super Bowl. Becomes the MVP of the Super Bowl and signs a huge contract all in this little window. And 3 months later, his 3-year-old son gets cancer. That's a bad thing happening to a good person. But if the story stops there, it's an ugly story. I got a chance to see what he's done with that tragedy in his life. It was incredible. He built the foundation for kids and parents that are going through this to lighten their load. When my friend Tom Johnson died, he went and talked to people. When his son died, he went and talked to people about how he dealt with his son, and he says, "I never got angry." When I was given this award, I just thought it was because, man, I got lots of money and maybe I'll make a donation to the school. Or Doug had some intelligent secretary to write some deal on me and he lied, one of the two. But then I pledged for Alpha Kappa Psi, and they talked about why they chose me. They talked about success, but they also talked about significance. They talked about leadership. Sometimes leadership is to get out of the way, because I surround myself with some of the most incredible people in the world, and the toughest thing for me to be a good leader is to get out of the way. They talked about service before self. Build a Boys and Girls Club, we built a K-Tech, we started a warming shelter, and we did all this stuff. Why you do that? Because where much is given, much is expected. And when I learned that, my life changed where it wasn't about the money anymore. In closing, as we're flying down in a private jet, you're sitting and you're looking at the 3 people that travel with you, and I said, man, what is it you think's important if you were at this microphone and our VP of sales says, love what you do and do it with passion? Right on, Luke. Jody said, be present, be in the moment. I spent about half of my life not being in the present and not being in the moment as I look at my grandson. I love all my grandkids and I love my kids all the time. Told you. There's a time I would take all this money I have, a portion of it,
And I'd buy some time with my kids that I lost because I was traveling around the world. Jody, I'm trying to be more present and be in the moment. And Eric said, find your purpose outside your job. What an incredible statement. All of us that are successful found our purpose in our jobs. But the true success in life comes when you find your purpose outside your job. Good point, Eric. In closing, I just want to say what an honor this was. There will be a day that I don't think about this. And I want to say thank you for this great honor, and God bless you all.
We'd like to thank you so much. Both, you can come up real quick. Pam, would you be willing to come up here real quick? So we're honoring Ron here tonight, but we also wanted to thank Pam. She has become our mother the last 2 years. So everybody please give a round of applause.
It's slow, yes. Sit down, read. Down in front.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here it is. Looking good.
We'd like to thank everybody for coming. We generally have an award for Ron. Unfortunately, I forgot it. It's this plaque, it's nice. And just imagine it, I know. So that's my apologies on that. But thank you all for coming. Thank you for the support. And please travel safely from wherever you can. Travel home safely. And one more round of applause for Ron.